Hello everyone, welcome back to codestudio.saiankit. In this video, we will be discussing the next higher order array function, reduce. This video is the last video of the 5-part series, higher order array functions in JavaScript. If you haven't seen the last 4 videos, please do watch them and I've left the links for the same in the description below. So let's get to our point. Reduce. Reduce is a different higher order function, no doubt. It has a callback function, but reduce does something cool. It reduces the whole array into a single value. Yes, the reduce function does not create a new array, it only reduces the given array into a single variable or a data element. So to understand what is reduce, first let us look into the syntax of reduce. It follows the same syntax just like the other functions, where the reduce function is bound to the actual array and it has an extra term accumulator, which is the value that we end up after the whole process, and the initial value is given by us initially. But if the initial value is not set, the reduce function will use the first value of the given array as its initial value. So what is this accumulator, what is initial value, and what is the stuff going on here? So to understand this, there are basically two different terms to understand reduce perfectly: reducer, accumulator. So reducer is the action what we perform in order to get the final value, like the function what we perform on the array elements, and the accumulator is the value that we end up after the whole process or after the reducer acts upon each element of the array. So to understand this better, let's take up an example and analyze it there. So in this example, we'll analyze the different parameters or different names that we have seen in the reduce, like the reducer, accumulator and stuff. So let us take up an array. Let it be const numbers. Let it be equal to 5, 10 and 15. And let's just say if we want to find the sum of all elements in the array. Okay, so let's just do the naive method to find out the sum. So using for loop, what is the thing that we would be doing is, so then we would be declaring a variable sum, which will initialize it with 0 because we have to calculate the sum of the whole numbers. So we'll initialize the sum variable to be 0, and in the for loop we'll add the each element of the array to this sum. So basically 0 plus 5 is 5, then 5 plus 10 is 15, and then 15 plus 15 is 30. So this is how we'll find out the sum of the elements in the array. So the loop goes like for, and then let us assume the iterator to be I, and then I starts at 0, and then I ends at numbers dot length, and then we'll increment the iterator I value. And then inside the for loop, what we would be doing is we will be just adding the sum, and that is equal to numbers the I. So this means that, so what does this line means? Okay, this means just like sum is equal to sum plus numbers I. This actually means that every element in numbers array gets added to the sum, and then that equals to sum. So what does this mean is, initially when sum is 0 and then 0 plus 5, that is 5. So sum gets assigned to 5, and then in the second call sum becomes 5, and then 5 plus 10 is 15. So in this manner we get the answer to be 30. Okay, let's just console.log the value of sum. So we got the answer to be 60. Wait, okay, so we just did the same thing again, right? So let's remove this thing and then run this. So the answer is 30. So this is what we got, right? So this is what we do in the naive method or in the for loop method of finding the sum of elements in the array. So basically we are getting a final single data element sum for which we are finding the answer, which is 30, right? So what we will be doing is we will be using the reducer and the higher order function concept to solve this problem. Okay, So initial value is nothing but the initial value of the final accumulator. Accumulator is something that returns after the whole reduce function is operated on the array. So let's just say reduce function is operated on this array numbers. The final data element that we get is known to be the accumulator, okay, and the initial value of the accumulator is known to be the initial value, okay. So let me just remove this stuff. So let's just initialize our accumulator with an initial value, and that is equal to 0, and then that is the array. The numbers is the array on which we are performing the reducer function, and let's write down the reducer function. We can write it at the reduce place also, but to look more cleaner and for our understanding, I'm writing it separately. So let us declare the function reducer. So reducer is basically a callback function which takes in accumulator and the item, the iterable item, and then it basically returns accumulator plus item. So this is what happening, right? Accumulator is getting added to each item of the array. So item is nothing but each item of the array. When we write down the reduce function to the numbers array, we will initialize an iterable element. So that iterable element, this is this. So that iterable element is this item. Okay, so reducer function acts upon each element of the array. So this whole callback function is acting upon each element of the array, and that each element is this item, and the accumulator is the final answer what we will get. Okay, so let's just initialize the reduce function on the given what do we say, given array. So const sum is the final value of accumulator, that is basically the final data element that is getting returned after the reduce function is acted upon the numbers array. So numbers dot reduce, okay, because we are binding the reduce function to the given array itself, so that the first argument of the reduce function is the reducer function. So what does this reducer function do is it runs upon each element of this numbers array to the array on which the reduce function is bound upon, and the second argument is the initial value. If no initial value is given, the first value of this array, that is 5, would be taken as initial value, and our answer would be 30 plus 5, 35. Okay, so let's just print this stuff and let's just check if this is right or wrong. Okay, console.log and sum. Right, so we are running this. Yeah, 30. The answer remains same, right? So this is how basically reduce function works. And to make this more simpler, let's write it down in a single line so that it's very easy for us to understand. So const sum is equal to numbers dot reduce, right? And then the first thing would be a reducer function. So a reducer function is nothing but this thing that we have written earlier. So accumulator comma item, and then this calls back into accumulator plus item, and then the second thing is 0. Yeah, so since we have removed this stuff, so let's make this even more better by just removing the braces. So basically the first argument is the reducer function which takes an accumulator and item as the parameters for the argument. So let's just keep it more simpler so that it fits in a single line, right? So a plus I is what the reducer function returns to us, and 0 is the initial value of the reduce function, and then we are printing the console.log sum. So let's just remove this stuff also. So there's a numbers array, and like we can make it more simpler, like removing the numbers and pasting it here. Actually we can directly write down inside this console.log brackets this whole stuff, but this is fine. Okay, so let's run again. So the answer is 30. Fine. So we can also do like we can add, like we can find the sum of all the elements times 2, then we can do 2 times I, like we'll add the accumulator to 2 times of this stuff, and then the answer is 60. So this is how you can do stuff with reduce function. So you can reduce all the elements of the array into a single data element. So this is how a reduce function works. So that's it for today. Please do like the video. If you love the content on this channel, go hit the red color subscribe button and also share this channel to your friends and supporters. Thanks and bye. Signing off, Sai Ankit, Code Studio.